I do so many cheap RC car reviews on my channel, but how did I miss this brand? And I am talking about BlackZon. And BlackZon is owned by one of the biggest RC companies out there. And if you've ever been browsing on the HPI Racing website, you may have stumbled upon these cars. So what we have here is a 1/12 scale desert buggy. And I have to say quite early on, this does look extremely familiar. And let me stick a piece of footage on the screen now, because I think this reminds me of this. Yes, I think what we have here is a rebranded Haiboxing. And this wouldn't be the first time we've seen this. We see this all the time. And that's not an issue for me, because Haiboxing cars are fantastic. So let's take a closer look at what we get in the box. And then, of course, we're going to take a closer look at the desert buggy itself. So here we have the transmitter. Now, does this look familiar? Yes, it does, because this has come straight from Haiboxing. These are very basic, but we do have our steering trim adjustment and our speed switch. And underneath there, you can see where it says HPI Racing, but there's nothing HPI about this. 2 AA batteries are required to get you up and running. Here we have the 1500 milliamp hour 2S lithium ion pack. I've come across loads of these before. They seem to perform okay, although a LiPo battery will give you more punch. And that's why I've got a LiPo with me as well. So in this bag here, we have a USB charger. We've also got some spare body clips. Here we have the black and white manual, and although it's basic, it's good enough to get you up and running. I do like it when we get exploded diagrams, because it does make it a lot easier to find parts. Here we have a decal sheet, and as you can see, I've already applied some of those to the car. Also in the box is the spare wheel, and you do need to attach that to the rear of the vehicle using the mounting hardware provided. And then finally, we have the truck itself. So here it is. This is the desert buggy, also known as the Smyter DB. I'm not sure about the name, but it does look really cool. And again, I am noticing how similar this is to the 901A. And the 901A is one of my favourite 1/12 scale desert buggies of all time. Those guys look super cool inside. So of course we do have a full-size spare on the rear. We've also got an LED light bar up on top. Let's get the body off and take a closer look underneath. On this one, there's only 2 body clips on the back. And this should just slip off. I say should. Come on! All right, 2 hands. We got there. So that's really cool. We've got a nice flexible cable for the LED lights. Just look at this chassis layout. Everything is screaming Haiboxing. Regular viewers of my channel, you can probably guess what's coming next. And I know I do love a moan about it, but yes, once again, this does have friction shocks, and they do feel really bouncy. Oh, horrible. I'll show you the rear as well. Really, really bouncy. Just not very nice. Now, I complain about this all the time, so do other channels, but we still see friction shocks being included on cheap RC cars. And yes, the key word there is cheap. A lot of the time, these cheap RC cars come with friction shocks because that is the cheaper option. Although I don't know about you, I'd rather pay a little bit more and get a better performing RC car. Now, I'm not going to moan about this the entire video. I know this is going to be super bouncy when we test it out later, but look, the good news is you can buy upgraded oil-filled shocks, and they're really not that expensive. Now, because this is a basic beginner car, we don't get any adjustability. Of course, we have a plastic chassis, we have plastic CVDs at the front, plastic dog bones on the rear, everything is plastic on this. Even the centre drive shaft is plastic. But does that make it a bad truck? Absolutely not, because plastic is lighter, it's also more flexible, and it's cheaper to replace. Electronics wise, we have a 390 brushed motor, a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver, and this is always nice to see. This is running a 3-wire servo. Let's get the body back on, let's do a speed test, and let's see how fast it goes using the included battery. And then we'll use my 2S LiPo and see if it makes any difference. Right, let's see how fast this goes. Let's start the GPS. That is full throttle already. I'm not expecting this thing to be insanely fast. It is a low powered brush system. I wonder if we'll get 20 miles per hour out of this. I think we're going to see less actually. That is full throttle again. Now, this is perfectly fine for someone who's just starting out in the hobby. You don't need an insanely powerful brushless RC car. Something like this is going to tick so many boxes for a lot of people. Oh, the brakes are quite strong. Right, let's bring it back. Let's see what we got on the included battery, and then we'll stick the 2S in there, the 2S LiPo, and we'll see what that can get. So let's hit stop and read. 17 miles per hour. So that is pretty slow, but it's acceptable for what it is. So let's get this out and get this in. There's no guarantee we're going to get more speed here, maybe a little bit more punch, but let's find out. Let's start the GPS. LiPo packs tend to be a little bit more punchy. That's full throttle. Are we going to see more than 17? This does handle really well, and it does feel a lot like the 901A. The shocks don't actually feel too bad. Of course, oil-filled shocks would be better. Has it made any difference? So let's hit stop and read. 18 miles per hour, so we've seen an increase of 1 mile per hour using the LiPo. I've just realised the LED lights aren't working. That's because I didn't switch them on. They look pretty cool. Okay then, so it's not winning any races. Yes, it's pretty slow. But looking at the speed figures, if you're thinking you may be craving just a little bit more power, I would say go for the Haiboxing 901A. Let's do some very mild off-roading and let's see how it performs. So just a little bit of mild off-roading, and yes, the shocks are bouncy as expected. I forgot to mention price. This little truck is currently £89 here in the UK, which isn't a bad price really for what you're getting, but I would say definitely shop around because there are some other really good options in this price range. And you should have seen it already, but if you haven't seen my top 10 cheap RC cars for 2024 video, I will leave a link down below. So not a bad effort at all from the guys at HPI, or should I say Haiboxing, because this thing is a HPX. There's no denying that. Yeah, I like this little truck a lot, but I don't think I prefer it over the 901A. So there we go then guys, that was the BlackZon Smyter DB. Not a bad little RC car from the guys at HPI, but we all know this is a Haiboxing. But that's not an issue because we all know HPX are great. Yes, it might not be the fastest on-road, but it does handle pretty well off-road, although I did find myself craving a little bit more power. Now for an adult getting into the hobby, I think you may get bored of this quite quickly, and I would say go for something brushless. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend a lot more money. The HPX 901A, which I have spoken about a couple of times during this video, is definitely going to be a good option. Let me know in the comments section what you make of this cheap RC car. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're getting very close to 40,000 subscribers now. Let's try and make that happen in the next couple of months. Cheers for watching, see you on the next one. Take care.